My husband seems to love to tell me at every opportunity that if we were to ever separate our child stays with him. My husband seems to love to tell me at every opportunity that if we were to ever separate our child will be staying with him. My husband and I have been together for 4 years and married for almost 2 months. When we first had our baby last year we had got into an argument. Basically I was going through it emotionally after we had our baby and he didn't really seem to care. I didn't feel very supported by him at all and he often chose what my in-laws wanted over my comfort. Anyways, he assumed I was planning on leaving him and taking our child with me, which I was not. He took that opportunity to tell me our baby will be staying with him if I leave, which broke me. The next incident, my husband was talking about living in his home country when he retires and I told him that I wasn't interested in moving there. Then he decided to tell me, well, our child will be going with him if he moves. I just stayed silent. Obviously if he were to retire our baby will be grown by then, but whatever. This leads me into yesterday. My husband does not want us to ever own animals, whereas I'm an animal lover. OFC, I know he doesn't like animals, so accepted that I may never own any ever again. So he decided to joke about us getting a chihuahua and I played along and said sure basically. After I agreed with him he backed out and said no, we're not get a chihuahua. I joked back and said I'd move then so that I could have a chihuahua. Again, just joking and nothing serious. He once again took the opportunity and said, well, our baby is staying with me. I fell silent. Ever since our baby has been born I have never once said to him I was going to take her away from him. That's not even in my thoughts, as why would it be? I don't know, but I'm starting to notice a pattern with him and it's really starting to rub me the wrong way. Like he sees me as an enemy just waiting to take our child from him or something. Also, side note regarding our current baby, I take on most of the child rearing and he seems to like to pawn off his responsibility of her either onto me or his mom whenever he gets the chance. So the irony, I guess? Both of our families have noticed this about him also. Thoughts? Comnet. You married someone you're not compatible with, and had a child with him. He knows this, and he is using your child as a pawn in order to control you. I would even go as far and say that he would definitely kidnap and hide your child if you dare to leave or do something he doesn't agree with. You should consult an attorney and consider your options. Ask what you can do to protect yourself and your child. This is not a safe environment for you or for your child to grow into. Do it soon before you wake up one day and they're both gone. I'm a Finn living in the US and I'd need the father's approval to get the child a US passport, but I wouldn't need his approval to get the child a Finnish passport. Not that I'd plan to do that for any sinister reasons, but I suppose there are ways around it if the child is a dual citizen at least. My daughter refused to sign for the kids to get passports for this very reason. Although baby daddy was born in the US, he has significant family ties to his parents' home country. Co-parenting and custody has been an ongoing issue. The risk of him committing kidnapping is pretty high. A friend of mine had an expensive and contentious divorce and had to agree to get the kids' passports to finally get the divorce finalized. Her ex is a dual citizen and I keep waiting for the call that he's taken them back to his country and won't return. I tried to warn her to not let them get passports, but he wore her down in the divorce. Depending on the countries involved, Dad may be able to apply for a passport from his home country. I had a coworker do that. Her daughter's father had never been part of her life or paid child support, but liked to make things difficult when he could. He tried to block medical decisions, school enrollment, and refused to sign the paperwork for a passport. Luckily the mum was born in New Zealand, so her daughter qualified for a NZ passport and didn't need the father's signature at all. Yikes, that's where I'm from too. Their dad is now in Australia, ironically said he would block me from moving there, then went himself, and when I wanted to go on holiday with kids later on I had to cross my fingers he hadn't already applied for passports to control where we could go. Hasn't been in their life since age 3 and one other than the odd visit, latest 8 years ago. Something like this happened to my cousin. She had 2 girls with a man who, as soon as his green card was issued, he started recording her being gaslit and being frustrated, so he's looked better to the judge, got custody of the girls, and as soon as he could he shipped them overseas to his mother to take care of them, and my cousin was left with nothing. This. Plus, he doesn't get to determine who the kid goes with. The presiding judge in the divorce/custody proceedings does. Unless you're deemed unfit, the kid stays with you, he can say otherwise all he likes. A word of caution, as he's not native, you may have a gel of a time if he leaves the country with the kid, so get all your ducks in a row first. This means that if you choose to divorce, you'll need to blindside him by having him served with papers after you've left. That may be a bit much. I did just see Equalizer 2, where he had to locate and neutralize a dude who snatched his own kid and ran to his home country. You can get court orders to prevent the other parent from taking children out of the country if that's a real concern. My father had this put in place against my mother. Also, the mother almost always wins custody unless there is some trying circumstances. Rather than fall silent, ask him why he keeps saying this, and if he gets defensive, tell him the facts that it's unlikely he can take custody and that he would suck as sole provider anyway since he isn't pulling his weight now. Although that might lead to more arguing, but you should stop this narrative he has in his head. Next story 2. My husband doesn't live with me. Where do I go from here? I'll try to keep this concise, but my husband has always struggled with severe anxiety. In particular, he has agoraphobia that prevents him from traveling more than a couple miles away from our home. Ironically, we fell in love, despite me wanting to travel the world and have all the new experiences I can, about 10 years ago, and married 2 years ago. Admittedly, I was a much different person at 23 and was looking for more stability at the time. Today I fully admit we're codependent and I am terrified of losing him. Despite any differences, he really is my other half. No one has ever loved me the way he does, and hurting him would feel like the end of the world to me. We've lived a pretty normal life for the last decade, but about a year ago, we had just moved and he just started a new job, when he had what we're calling a mental breakdown. He started having severe panic attacks multiple times a day, which got so bad he could no longer work and became suicidal. He was paranoid, not sleeping, losing a lot of weight, and even became suspicious of me, making accusations of me cheating and trying to control where I was going and who I was allowed to talk to. There was an incident of infidelity on my part many years prior to us getting married, and we had worked through it in therapy and it almost never came up anymore. I wouldn't have married him if I wasn't positive he'd forgiven me, and we put it behind us. But I believe this is where that behavior came from. I can't think of any other explanation for the change. There were several hospital stays, many med changes, and he stopped working for about 9 months. I became the main provider, his 24/7 therapist, caretaker and wife. I feel so guilty admitting this, but I became quite resentful. My whole life revolved around taking care of him and talking him off a ledge almost daily. When our lease was up, my husband decided he wanted to move back in with his family. His therapist supported this idea because he couldn't tolerate being alone, and his sister's house is always lively and full. I got an apartment nearby. As much as I love his sister, I need my own place. We agreed he would move back in when he was doing better mentally. Since he's been there, things have improved a lot. He was able to get a new job that's less demanding. He's not having daily panic attacks or nightmares, and it seems he's starting to return to his normal self. The problem is that while he was on his own healing and getting better, I've been dealing with loneliness, feelings of abandonment, and feeling bitter about it all. It's been a huge struggle financially doing this all on my own. We're fighting a lot, almost every time he comes over, which is only a couple times a month. Although we talk every day, he lectures me about money if I order out, even though I still pay for his phone and health insurance. He still gets suspicious and controlling about when I can go out, what friends I can see, or even if a male happens to like a picture of a sunset that I post online. My friends and family that know the details have said he wants all the benefits of a wife but doesn't want any of the responsibilities of a husband. None of my behavior, pictures, friends, or dress have changed BTW. I'm not out meeting guys at clubs. I'm going to mini golf with the same mixed group of couples I've always hung out with. I don't really know where to go from here. I'm so lonely and so frustrated and so scared all the time. I miss him, I miss having a partner and my best friend to come home and cuddle with every day. But on the other hand, I'm actually really relieved not having to soothe him or reassure him that he's safe and not being followed or watched every night. Or defend myself against cheating accusations every day. All I know for sure is how much I love him and how bad it breaks my heart to think of him lonely or hurting. Honest, I care about his needs more than my own, and I know that's part of the problem. What am I supposed to do at this point? Are we beyond saving? Comment. Yes, stop with the bill paying. He's got a job and is living rent-free with his sister. Just stop underwriting his lifestyle. You deserve to have a fun-filled life with a companion that is there for you. You don't have that now. This is no way to live your life, financially supporting someone who is controlling, who doesn't live with you, who has crushed your dreams, travel, who constantly accuses you of cheating, and who has a host of issues that do not seem to be getting any better with time. You need to decide right now if this is the type of life you want to continue living, as it doesn't look like things are going to change. It is not too late to live the life you wanted to live when you were younger. I hate to tell someone to break up, but in this case this is the best advice I can give. I am going through something similar, with long-term partner having moved out due to autistic burnout. In my case, a therapist helped me understand the way he was acting to me was emotionally abusive and the relationship eventually imploded. I can empathize with your struggle though quite a bit. At the end of the day, this isn't healthy for you and hasn't been in a long time. The likelihood of it being sustainably fixed in the long term might be pretty low, and I think you are doing the right thing considering whether this is the future you want. At a certain point, being alone is better than being in a bad relationship, no matter how much it hurts at first. What are you getting out of this marriage? I mean, he gets a phone plan, free healthcare, money if you're sending some his way and some to torment. What do you get? Because right now it seems you only get problems. You're 33. Is this really how you want to spend the rest of your life? Some people have their marriage fall apart yet they still have them as a roommate. You don't even have that. Some people date but you don't seem to have that either. I would say it's a long-distance relationship, but that just sounds ridiculous since it sounds like you live near each other. Then you are him and all he wants to do is control you and fight. I'm not seeing any upside to you being married to him. Honestly, I would divorce him and then I would travel the world, go on adventures, meet interesting people and make friends who want the same. Heck, eventually meet someone you can travel the world with. You have put your life on pause for 10 years because of him. How much longer are you going to put your life and happiness on hold for someone that at this point is pretty much an acquaintance? You already helped him take care of him as much as you could. Now it's time to start over and help yourself. Move on, start working on yourself and stop ignoring his unreasonable expectations and demands. Set a timeline for yourself, set the boundaries for him and yourself very clear. Don't be shy and anxious, no need to jump dating, but work on your mental health and hit the gym. Get a legal separation, stop covering his bill until / if he back to your life a full-time healthy partner. Don't fight with him, rather ignore him and keep distance. Don't let his family to guilt trip you. You deserve a happy normal life and you have been supportive, but you have one life and you need to care about your happiness. It sounds like there is more going on besides agoraphobia. I wonder if he might also have some type of mood or personality disorder. Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder. All of the paranoia and questioning you about cheating seems like something else. Either way, he appears to be taking full advantage of the situation he is in. From you paying some of his bills and living rent-free with his sister, he is getting all the benefits of this arrangement. I would honestly divorce him. You are young still, you can move on and be happy. Don't be dragged down by this guy who clearly does not value you. Sounds like he needs to be alone to work through his mental health issues. You should be by yourself too. I've been alone for long stretches of time, but also have been really codependent. Both were experiences in their own right. But you have to get yourself to a point where you're okay with both. Alone or in a relationship. You deserve a present partner. It's okay to walk away from something that no longer works for you. It's tough in the beginning and you might experience a whole new set of emotions once you make that decision. But being alone is better than being unhappy in a relationship. I think you know this has ran its course. I wish you well.